For this video, we are going to be discussing evaluating functions. So the first thing I want to start with is talking about function notation. And I have this f of x here. So this is not f times x. It's pronounced f of x, function of x. And really, this just means the same thing as y. Like if I told you y equals 2x plus 3, I could write that as f of x equals 2x plus 3, and it means the exact same thing. All right, so f is not the only thing we can use in function notation. We could also have like g of x, h of x, I don't know, a of x. It doesn't really matter. We could have any function we want. Just know that they all mean basically the same thing as putting y. It's like y equals 2x plus 3, f of x equals 2x plus 3. And when we're evaluating functions, it's really very similar to evaluating expressions. We're simply going to plug in a given value and simplify. So for example, if I use this example here, and I asked you what is f of 2, well, all we'd do is we'd say f of 2 equals 2 times 2 plus 3, f of 2 equals 4 plus 3, f of 2 equals 7. All right, so all this is it's evaluating the expression. We just have this new function notation in front of it. So let's try some examples. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video here and try this one, and then we will go over it together. All right, so now that you've tried it, hopefully you're able to figure it out and get the right answer. We have, if f of x is 3x squared plus 2x minus 8, find f of 3. So our first step is that wherever we see an x, we're going to plug in our 3. So f of 3 is 3 times 3 squared plus 2 times 3 minus 8. Now we're just going to solve. We're going to say, okay, f of 3 equals 3 times 9 plus 2 times 3. We just squared our 3. F of 3 is 27 plus 6 minus 8. I did my multiplying. And then I do my adding and subtracting and come up with f of 3 equals 25. So all we're doing is figuring out, or plugging in our values and figuring out what the result is. It's just evaluating expressions. All right, let's try another problem. It says, if the function g of x equals 4x squared minus 2x has a domain of 2, 3, and 4, we need to find the range. So they tell us the domain. You should remember from our previous video that these are the x values. And they're asking us to find the range, which are the y values. So how are we going to do this? Well, all we're going to do is we are going to plug in each one of our x values into the function and solve. So I'm going to plug 2 in for x, I'm going to plug 3 in for x, and I'm going to plug 4 in for x. So I get 4 times 2 squared, or 4 times 2 minus 2 times 2 squared, 4 times 3 minus 2 times 3 squared, 4 times 4 minus 2 times 4 squared. All I'm going to do is work these out, and we see that g of 2 is 0, g of 3 is negative 6, and g of 4 is 16. So these numbers, 0, negative 6, negative 16, those are my y values. So if I put them together in a set, I get my range, which is negative 16, negative 6, and 0. So whenever you see a problem like this where they give you the domain and ask you for the range, all you do is plug each one of those numbers into the function, and then their resulting values will make up the range. Let's take a look at one more example. Example 3 says, if the function h of x equals 4x has a range of 0, 12, and 36, find the domain. So this one is similar to the last one, but it's a little different. In this one, they're giving us the range and asking us to find the domain. So instead of plugging these numbers in for x, we're actually going to plug them in for f of x because they're the y values. So, or h of x, sorry. So instead of writing h of x equals 4x, I'm going to say 0 equals 4x. Instead of writing h of x equals 4x, I'm going to say 12 equals 4x and 36 equals 4x. Now I'm going to solve for x. All I have to do on each one of these is just divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, and I come up with my results of 0, 3, and 9. So if I put those together in a set, that's my domain. So all we're doing is, once again, we're plugging our values in and solving for our missing values, except this time, instead of plugging in for x, we're plugging in for h of x. Finally, our last example, example 4, says if g of x equals 4x plus 2 and h of x equals 9 minus 2x, what is g of 5 plus h of 2? Now this problem might seem a little confusing at first, but this procedure is actually pretty simple. What we're going to do first is we're going to figure out what's g of 5, we're going to figure out what's h of 2, and then we're going to add them together. So I just wrote this out in the general way. G of x plus h of x is equal to 4x plus 2 plus 9 minus 2x. Because I know g of x is 4x plus 2, and h of x is 9 minus 2x. Alright, so now all I need to do is plug in my values. Okay, g of 5, wherever I see for my g part here, I'm going to plug in 5 for x, so 4 times 5 plus 2. And then I have h of 2, so in this x I'm going to plug in a 2. And now I'm just going to work these out. 4 times 5 is 20, 2 times 2 is 4. 20 plus 2 is 22, 9 minus 4 is 5, and 22 plus 5 is 27. So whenever we have a problem like this, we're just going to we're going to evaluate the first function, evaluate the second function, and then at the end, add them together. So I'm going to leave you with tonight's try it problem. It says if the function f of x equals 4x squared plus 3x minus 2 has a domain of 3, 5, 7, what is the range?